to another Acoustic Alternatives. I'm John Bomarito. We are at Grove Studios, as we are for most of the podcasts. And I have to send big love to Grove because, as I mentioned in just about every podcast, without them, there would be no podcast. There would be no reason for me to be standing here talking to you and talking to some of my favorite artists. They introduced this idea to me back in the pandemic. Chris DuPont was my first guest. You can go back and find that one from October of 2020. And it was local artists until the pandemic kind of started to allow people to come in a little bit more. And well, now I'm visiting from folks all over the place. But today I am going back to my Michigan roots. In fact, I first met Ryan just shortly before I invited him to be part of a benefit that we did for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And Ryan Racine has a new record coming out in May. This is going to be online before May. The new album is called Valhalla Afternoon. And Ryan, it is so good to have you back here. After more than 30 years of playing with various bands, you're back to being mostly a solo guy, at least on this record. And it sounds like there's more coming.
Yes, there is. Yeah, thank you for having me. I always appreciate your support, John. So I've got this new record coming out that is literally just me and one guitar. It's probably how I play about half of my shows, but I do have a full band, and that band is working on a new record that should be out in the fall. But today we're here to talk about Valhalla Afternoon.
Well, the last solo album was called Outsider's Heart. Oops, just dropped a piece of paper. This was an excellent piece of work, in my opinion, one of the best. And we're going to get back to talking about this a little bit. It was your first solo album after some band records.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, Valhalla Afternoon, I would love to hear a song from. Give me a little background on the song, and what one would you like to play?
Well, why don't we start with where the title comes from. This is a song, it was originally called Valhalla Afternoon, but then I just changed it to Don't Bury Me. It was kind of written, I've always joked about wanting to have a Viking funeral. And so this is kind of a silly little country tune that I wrote sort of based around that idea. Don't Bury Me.
Don't bury me beneath the rocks and clay. Set me on a raft of pine, watch me float away. Light a single arrow, let it fly off in the dawn, and let the river take my ashes when I'm gone. Throw in a pint of whiskey and an old 6-string guitar. Dress me up in boots and rhinestones, though I get there looking sharp. Just in case there is a stage and lights, they let me play a couple nights, or at least a shady live oak, a Valhalla Afternoon. But don't bury me beneath the rocks and clay. Lay me in the old canoe, let me sail away. One single flaming arrow set aloft into the sky, and let the river take my ashes when I die. I'll never reach Valhalla, and that shit ain't even real. But I saw it in a movie, and it made me catch a feel. There's no fights or feasts awaiting me, no Valkyries to carry me. But I'd rather go out big than in a box under the ground. Don't bury me beneath the rocks and clay. Lay me on a raft of pine and let me float away. And light a single arrow, let it fly off in the dawn, and let the river take my ashes when I'm gone. Let the river take my ashes when I'm gone.
Ryan Racine on Acoustic Alternatives from Grove Studios. Don't Bury Me from the forthcoming album Valhalla Afternoon. Although, depending on when people listen to this, it might be out by now. May 1st, 2026 is the release, right?
May 1st, yes.
Digital only, or putting it out any physical media?
Digital only at this moment,
Okay.
yeah. I felt like it was, the way that it was made and being 8 songs, and felt like that was a good way to do it. So,
well, I have an opinion. I just think the physical media helps people in the smaller shows, because at some point people are going to hear you for the first time, even though you've been doing this for a long time, and they need something to remember you by. So as long as you have something at a table somewhere that they can take home, download cards, something that can be a souvenir of the evening. Because if they don't remember your name, then they're going to go home and go, what was that guy's name again? Darn it. I wish I had bought the CD. Yeah. Oh, there wasn't a CD. And I understand. A lot of people don't
still
have.
buy CDs?
I do.
Oh.
Like to come over and see how many I have.
For you, yeah.
There's too many.
Yeah.
There's piles of them everywhere. Let's go into a little bit of your background, Ryan.
Yeah.
Born in Ann Arbor, Ypsi area, or lived in both at some point?
Lived in both. Born in Ann Arbor, yeah.
Okay.
Grew up mostly in Ann Arbor. Lived in Ypsi for a time as well, but mostly Ann Arbor, and then ended up I'm out in Northville now.
Okay.
Places, yeah.
Favorite memories of Ann Arbor, Ypsi growing up?
I mean, I was coming up in the 90s in a band. It was just, it was a great place to be. There was always places to play, and remember being a teenager then and playing shows at the Blind Pig, and getting to go out and do shows in Detroit, and there was just a great rockabilly scene at that time, which was what I was doing back then. But Ann Arbor it's definitely changed when I go back now, and I miss some of the little quirks about it, but there's always good music stores and good clubs, and not to knock what's there now, but
The buildings are taller.
yeah, buildings are taller. There's more of them.
There's a lot more of them.
There's a lot of bike lanes now that they used to have, but
It's a little confusing. Well, I know your sister Ingrid, and I know that she's in a different musical world. She plays the trumpet and does jazz. It seems like you guys would have grown up in 2 different households, because at least when I think about my siblings, I have 3 siblings, and we have similar music tastes. I acquired music taste being the youngest from all 3 of them. Like, I picked up the things they were listening to. But you're definitely more, classic country, folk Americana, and she's, totally in the jazz world.
yeah. Although we were both we're both really into punk rock.
Oh.
So I think that's where we kind of
Common ground.
converge. I remember going to see her. She was singing in a all-girl hardcore band when she was in high school for a short time.
I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah. I think she definitely took the more academic route in her playing, but we have a few things in common, but she actually did arrange and play the horn sections that are on the first record, Outsider's Heart. So and we worked together, and we both played in that band Moog Doyle. It was like an Irish punk band for a long time.
Right.
So we converge here and there.
That was your second project, right? After Lucky Haskins?
Yeah, it was sort of in there in that post Haskins era. I had played. I was also playing, I think, with Casey Groves when she was still around at that time. I was in her band, and but yeah, Moog Doyle was kind of one of the bigger projects that I was involved in. But somewhat as a sideman mostly. I faked playing accordion, so.
Casey Groves ended up in Uncle Earl and got produced by John Paul Jones in her career.
Yes.
Which is kind of an interesting.
And I think she's still out in Boulder area.
Okay, I haven't crossed her path in a while. I haven't heard her name in a while either.
Yeah.
Actually.
She taught me how to sing harmonies. I think that's where I, being in her band, that's how I learned to hear harmonies and
okay.
and sing with somebody else. So
nice.
I owe her that.
Well, Lucky Haskins was much more of a rockabilly affair, and you just mentioned Moog Doyle was more like a Celtic rock, upbeat thing. And then you've got the other band that you saw. I saw more posts when I was searching for concerts, Gas for Less would come a lot.
Yeah.
Like you did a ton of gigs with that band.
Yeah, we played a lot.
That was more Americana country, right?
It was very like Bakersfield honky tonk. Like it was very much a concept band that was like, all right, we're gonna do 50s and 60s honky tonk music.
So when I think about the music that comes out of Ann Arbor, historically speaking, you know, Seeger, E-pop, MC5, whatever.
You don't think Buck Owens?
I don't. Like, where did that come from? Because you didn't grow up in more of the rural parts of the area.
No, I mean, I think, you know, I got
parents?
into, you know, I was probably hearing Dwight Yoakam when I was, you know, 13 years old or something. And that kind of, you know, turned me on to, or what is Dwight coming from? All right, Buck Owens, Merle Haggard stuff. So that's how I fell into that stuff, not from it being, you know, around at all. It was
Played in the house? No.
Yeah, no.
What did your parents play? Were they even into music? I would think so. The two of you.
They are. I remember my mom listening to a lot of Joni Mitchell. There was a lot of Neil Diamond going around. And then my mom was into some stuff. I like remember hearing like Anita Baker and like Sade and stuff as she was like doing whatever.
I love that stuff too.
So yeah, great stuff. Yeah, you know, I got most of my stuff from my best friend and producer Dave Brophy. He had an older brother that we would just ransack his record collection, and that's where we found the Stray Cats and we found Dwight Yoakam, and that led us down the paths of like, all right, well, who were their influences and
the originators.
So that's kind of how that happened, I guess.
I feel like in your story you got to meet one of those originators and play with him. Didn't you play with Carl Perkins?
We did, yeah. We opened up for Carl Perkins. This was, you know, that Lucky Haskins that in high school. We opened up for him 2 nights at, remember Sully's in Dearborn? Yeah. And Carl was he was a great guy. Very, very supportive of us. I think he walked in, he had just got there when we were sound checking. So he saw us play a little bit, and I've got pictures of him playing my guitar. He wanted to check out my old Gretsch, and what a sweet guy.
I feel like this year I've seen a reissue campaign for something Carl Perkins related. I think it was the big album, Dance Shoes, Dance something. It's like 70 years old this year, and they're doing I know they're doing a reissue on it with bonus tracks and remastered and all that.
Nice.
So, yeah. Nice to know that the legends can still have some pull in the industry. So just the two of you, as far as kids in the house go? Just you and Ingrid? Or do you have other siblings?
I have an older brother as well.
Didn't follow the music path, though.
No. He although, I mean, I first started playing guitar because he played guitar. So we had him around, and he still does. You know, just didn't follow it in the, you know, the same way that we did. Still plays, you know, kind of just as a hobbyist, but you know, I have, you know, we have other family that are in the arts as well. We have an aunt who was a fabulous opera singer and
really
was a dean of music school there for a time. And
we're getting the train. You might have to do a train song.
Yeah, I always get.
You can never tell.
Key for me to sing.
I can never tell if people can actually hear the trains on the microphones. You can kind of hear them in the background as we're recording. But a lot of the creatives from this community end up going to community high school. Was that where did you spend?
Yeah, a lot of time at community high school. I dual enrolled there for most of my high school career, but I did graduate from there. I went there full time as a senior. But you know, yeah, I was in the jazz bands there with Mike Grace and.
Lath? Was Lath there at the same time?
Lath was there at the same time, yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, it was, you know, I don't know how it is now, but at that time, like, man, those mid-90s, the players that were in that group of jazz band was just insane. And, you know, so many of them have gone on to, you know, continue to have great careers. I mean, Randy Napoleon was there. like I said, my friend Dave Brophy, who's now a producer and drummer out in Boston, Lath, amazing guys, Justin Walters, Ben Jansen, amazing jazz players, and not as many country players, but we did have a little country band.
They come from somewhere.
At that time too that I played in. So,
well, I mentioned it already. Back in 2018, you put out Outsider's Heart, and I just re-listened to one of the interviews that we did regarding the promotion of this record, and I had predicted that it was going to be a big breakthrough for you. So I have to ask, how did it go?
Well, so that record came out in 2018, and then it wasn't too far after that.
2020. What was going on?
Something happened that kind of really slowed momentum,
derailed things a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It was going well. I was did a little bit of small touring, just by myself with that. Was starting to get ready to work on the next project, and then like we said, everything kind of closed down.
Changed
but
a little bit.
But it still allowed us to do some things remotely, and ended up doing 4 or 5 singles over the next couple years, just being able to work from home. And so that in some ways there were some things about lockdown that were nice. It afforded me some time to do some of that and write a lot more. And that's why now I'm kind of getting back out of that, and other things that I was been doing for the last few years that have been taking up time. Now I've got essentially 2 records that are coming out this year. So it was the way it was supposed to happen, I suppose. So
you recorded that one in Boston, and I know you recorded the one we're talking about today, the acoustic record solo in Michigan.
Yeah.
What about the one that's coming out in the fall? Was that another on-location one?
It's a little bit of both. So I took my live band into the studio in Ann Arbor.
Big Sky?
And did some basic tracking. Another place that I don't think I'm at liberty to discuss, but
sorry,
I'll tell you off.
Okay, yeah, this is recorded for permanent.
So we did some basic tracking there, and then I went out a couple weeks later, went out to Boston, did some additional work there. We added some keys there, did some guitars and vocals out there, and now I'm just kind of finishing up some of the last of the guitar parts at home, and getting ready to mix that. And
why Boston? Did you live there for a while?
No, but that's where, so my main collaborator, Dave Brophy, that's where he's based. So he produced the last record. He's producing this one. And he's got a nice studio setup that works well for doing the overdubs and whatnot. And, so it's a nice place to go and crash for a few days and work on music all day long. And
nice work if you can get it.
So yeah.
So that was 2018 for the Outsider's Heart record, and again, I think we did 2 interviews that year. One was the one that we did in the studio in Ann Arbor, and then the Leon Loft benefit for the Walked Into Alzheimer's. And I think at that one you mentioned something about working on the next record already, which ended up getting derailed because of the pandemic. Yes. But the 4 singles that I think, is it 4 between now and this record?
Something like that, yeah.
Will those end up on the record? Will they be part? They're just going to be standalone singles?
They're just going to be standalone. I think, had things progressed more quickly, maybe they would have been a part of it. But, some of those are now, have been released, anywhere from 2020 to 23. So at this point, they're old. They're old.
Old. Well, I still think there's a chance for Outsider's Heart to become recognized for what it really is, which is a great record. I don't know if you remember the band Majesty Crush from the Detroit scene. They're kind of more of a shoegaze rock band from Detroit.
No, I don't actually.
It wasn't a big record. I think they got some subsidiary of Elektra Records signed thing, and it was when it was out, it didn't do very much. But right now, I guess it's a sought after record all of a sudden. Gotcha. So I'm saying what can happen. See. Something can be 20 years old and people find it and make a big deal out of it. So.
Yeah, I'm proud of what we did on that record. I listen to it now, and of course, like anything, you think of what you would change and things you would do differently. But it's what it's what it was at the time we did it, and it was a big accomplishment for me to put out my first solo record of all my own stuff and the full length and all that. So,
one more question about the singles that you released. I really question it. I hear an influence in The Wearing Days, and to me it sounds like Noah Gunderson. Do you know Noah Gunderson stuff at all?
No, I don't,
okay.
But I'll look it up.
He's not exactly folk Americana, but I felt something about the production felt similar to what he does. So just in my head, I'm like, I wonder what he listens to in that, that 5 year
I'm going to
period.
give, and I will give so much credit to Dave on that one. Because that was, I think, the first one that we did sort of remotely. And it was a fun way to record, because it wasn't like getting, we're not getting everybody together and having instant feedback on things. So it was, I'd send him some parts, he would send stuff out to other people, and we were just kind of taking whatever came.
Mm-hmm.
So, he sent it out to the pedal steel player, Matt Penn, out in LA, and he, recorded a part and sent it, and that's just what it was. And it was a fun, different way to record without like putting too much overthought into things. And he really built that track. I wrote the tune, but he kind of built the track and the whole vibe of it.
Okay.
So I'll have to ask him if he got that.
And I guess the drawback of those singles not appearing on an album, or it's same with any digital album, it's hard to find the credits, like who sang on, who did what, who played guitar, I care about those things because radio sometimes
sure.
It's nice to talk about. Whatever.
There needs to be a better way to do that.
Yes.
Actually, another friend from Boston, Will Daly, did that. One of his records, he put a
digital booklet,
digital track on at the end of the streaming, where he's just reading the credits.
It's actually
over the.
I like it.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool idea. So.
Well, we know the credits on the forthcoming record. It's you plus a couple of microphones.
Yeah.
Want to do another song from it?
Yeah. Let's do another one.
Valhalla Afternoon, the forthcoming album from Ryan Racine, due out May 1st digitally. And he asked me what I wanted to hear, and then he said I might play some of those.
I was
sassy
kind of
pants.
ripping you. I was ripping you.
It's all right.
No,
you can do whatever you want. It's your record. But you asked, so.
I know. Well, I like your opinion, John.
Thanks. I like to think it's an informed opinion. 41 years in the music industry, I should know something by now.
Yeah. I mean,
you think?
Well, that's what we're shooting for, right?
That's right. You got to get good at it eventually. What are you doing this time?
I'm going to do this one. This one was actually written, specifically for this. A lot of the tunes that are on this record are things that have been lying around for a long time and just never gotten recorded or used or even played live much. But this was kind of written right before these sessions. So it's called If You Want.
You ever miss a first kiss? Do you see him in your dreams? Should I consider you a flight risk? Do you know that grass ain't green? 'Cause it'll be June there for a moment, and autumn comes to kill the leaves. Taking comfort in our winters, maybe that's all that we need. I know that it ain't always easy. Apologies are not beneath me. I'm sorry for the times I let you down. But if you want, I will still be here for the next round. Sometimes it seems like we're surrounded. Some days it's nice to be alone. It's been some time since I felt grounded, a little lost away from home. When it comes to growing old here, keeping the fires ain't just for scouts. It might not burn quite as warm, dear, but I won't let its light go out. I know that it ain't always easy, but when I feel you breathe beneath me, I know we'll find a way to be okay. If you want, I will still be here for the next day. And all of these choices that we drag around lift us up or break us down. Change the oil and fill the tank up. Check the tread left on the tires. If we go further down the road someday we'll sit and count the miles. I know that you might not believe me. The best of better days could still be. You can take the middle by my side. And if you want, I will still be here for the last ride.
If you want brand new music from Ryan Racine on Acoustic Alternatives from Grove Studios, grovestudios.space. If you want to check out the space yourself, there are 5 different rooms to pick from. Get out of the garage, get into the studio. Grovestudios.space, again, is the place you can find out how to book this place 24/7. You can be here at 2 in the morning if you want, Ryan. If you have a band practice time that works for you and doesn't work for somebody else, you know, you want to make noise.
Not 2 o'clock in the morning.
Train is the only thing that's going to bother you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is meant for folks like you looking to. Hey, you have a band, right? You have a band that you play at the North Star Lounge occasionally.
Yeah. So I have a band, the Little Victories, that we play with. Great guys, Alex Annis, Jim Latini, John Sparendi, occasionally a keyboard player in there too. But those are the 3 main guys that play with me. And like I said, I do about half and half, depending on venues and whatnot. But yeah, we just did a North Star show with those guys, and then we're doing our annual. There's a place in Northville, the Northville Winery and Brewing Company, connected to Parmenter's.
I've been there.
Great venue. I know the owners
Best
very
apple cider
well.
too.
Good apple cider. They have hard apple cider. They have frozen hard apple cider.
Wow.
But yeah, they have a seasonal stage with live music, probably 3 or 4 nights a week. We always do a show there every year. So I think it's September 12th this year, and that's our big chance to just get loud and play rock and roll. And
at the moment, it's the only thing on your schedule on your website. You know that, right?
It is. That's because I'm bad about updating some things.
There is a North Star Lounge date, though. You mentioned this before we started recording.
Yes, and I have not had a chance to put it up yet, but there will be sort of the official, launch show of this record, May 23rd at the North Star Lounge, which those people are great. We love playing there. This one will be just me. It's a 9 o'clock show, which is later than I like these days, but no, it's good.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. So that'll be sort of the official party release of Valhalla Afternoon.
It should be solo. It's a solo record.
Yeah. It's a solo record. So yeah, it'll be sort of showcasing, that record and those tunes. But it's a great venue for that type of thing. It's got a little more of that listening room sort of intimacy that I like. So looking forward to that.
Well, hypothetically, when the band record comes out, and if your drummer's house was busy, I just showed you the space.
Yeah, no, this place is great. This place is really cool.
Not far for you. No. Coming from Northville.
No, it's not too bad.
Half an hour or something.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in learning more about this place, and I mean, I'm thinking honestly too about even some of the mixing on this next record. You guys got some nice little.
There's a production studio. Yeah.
Places with good monitors and stuff to hook up, and definitely if your listeners have not checked it out and there's musicians out there listening, check this place out, because definitely wish that I had something like this, especially in my younger days too.
Musicians are involved, so that makes sense. Well, when we were talking backstory, I skipped over one I meant to ask you about, because at that Leon Loft event, you skipped over talking about, because it might not have been appropriate for air, your story about opening for Shane MacGowan. And since this has no FCC requrequirements because it's an internet podcast, if that's a story you're willing to tell, because it seemed like there was.
I don't remember which one it was, but
Shane MacGowan was the lead singer of the Pogues, who those of you who don't know, and quite a character I never met.
We opened for him, I think 3 times, of which 2 he showed up for.
Oh, nice.
So which is pretty. That's a pretty good
ratio.
Shane MacGowan ratio.
Yeah. Better than Morrissey.
I don't know if I don't remember what exact story there was that I had wanted to tell, but we did have some good times hanging out with him. I remember hanging out with him backstage at, I think it was the Majestic, and just kind of, he's sort of like dealing with a toddler in a way sometimes, or was, rest in peace. But he's was very inebriated to the point where having much of a conversation was difficult. But I remember us going around and just, there's a bunch of us who were giving him like yes or like A-B choices of different bands or food or whatever, and it would be weird things like, all right, Shane, Poison or Motley Crue, and I think he said Motley Crue, but that type of stuff, and then he had some band members that were pretty wild themselves too. Those were good times for sure.
Generally, I prefer people who have really good singing voices, but I make an exception for him because it fits the music that he's doing so well.
Yeah. I like great vocalists, but to me, a great vocalist is also the personality that's in it and what it's communicating through the song.
Yes, for sure.
You could say, Willie Nelson is not particularly a technically great vocalist.
Not really.
But you can't deny
it's Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
He's made more records than you. Puts out 2
certainly.
A year, that guy.
Yeah. I know.
How does he do it?
He's twice my age.
Yeah, he's like the same age as my dad. My dad just passed away. Yeah. Like, jeez.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess to his credit, he's got a lot of time to do that.
Yes, doesn't have as many responsibilities as you do.
That's one of the things about being an independent musician that still has to do things to work and pay bills.
Cut the lawn.
Yeah, to have that the time to do it as a full-time job. That does afford you certain opportunities to be able to be that productive. But,
for sure. I was telling you before we started recording that I had to teach myself the video skills. So those of you who are watching, if you go back and watch some of the earlier ones from 2020 and 2021, I was actually being provided with some help And then I started hiring a little bit of the help. So certain videos you watch from the past of the 100, and I think this is number 103, you'll see differing, quality of video. So I think as I look at something from the pandemic from you did a version of Safe at Home where you had your friends at home.
Yeah.
Did you have to teach yourself how to do that? I mean, is this a skill you already have?
No, that was something that I knew how to do from, day job kind of stuff. And
what is your day job? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Well, at that time I was an art director for a company, so I was,
yes,
beyond the graphic design work, was also doing a lot of video and photography stuff. So that's how I knew how to shoot video. I knew how to edit video and whatnot. So, but I'm no longer doing that. Currently, my wife owns a flower shop in Northville, and I help her out doing big events and taking deliveries and kind of general flower shop business stuff. So
there was the other derailment during the pandemic that I never made it out to, the other Northville adventure. Yes. Do you want to talk about that at all? Because I never made it. Or is it a bad memory?
I'm sorry.
It's your face says don't ask about
it.
We
decided to open a restaurant.
Toria, right?
Toria. And, I don't know what got into us to think that was a good idea, but it was a lot of fun. There are some great things about it, but I'm also glad that that's now beyond us, and fun experience.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. But that's really essentially why I, had not been playing out as much, had not been recording. It was, it was restaurant life.
You're married to the restaurant.
So, yeah. So that's kind of, why now I'm able to get back out and get back to this and
refocus.
Yes. Get back to, doing the things that really make me feel like me. And
well, I'm honored that you had sent me the record before your wife even heard it, which I was like,
yeah, she still hasn't heard
really it. Now. That's pretty cool. And then you also asked me for a media quote, and I'm going to summarize what I sent you. Basically, every time I listened to the record, I was trying to pick what my favorite song was, and it was the next song on the record was my favorite song. So that's a pretty good sign of a good record that I couldn't pick one because they all had something that I really liked about them. So congrats on that.
Well, thank you. That's
a solid record.
It's an interesting group of songs. It was it wasn't like a common, there's not really a common theme, I don't think, throughout the whole record. There's this wasn't a group of songs that were written specifically to be together. Like I said, some of them were things that have been sitting around for over 10 years that just never really went anywhere. I never recorded them, maybe played live a couple times, but and when I sat down sort of last year and looking at the list of tunes that I had available to me, and I just kind of divided them up and was like, all right, well, this should be on the full band record, and ended up with this list of things that would, was like, well, I'll just do these myself. And it was kind of always in my head to use this house as a little retreat to either write or record something, and it was great that I was able to do it. This house up north has been in our family for a long time, and I've been going up there since my first birthday, and so it's a special place. So to get up there and just have a few days alone and look at the lake and the leaves starting to change, and
sounds lovely.
It was a lot of fun. And so yeah, like I said, some of these sat around for a long time. Some of them are things that just, they don't take themselves super seriously. There's some just silly, goofy, cute love songs, and some story songs that are a little darker, but you know, it, like I said, just kind of here's a bunch of tunes. No real big picture theme going through any of it.
What's the next one you'd like to do?
Here's one that was on your list. And this is a good one. My thing is falling apart here. This is a song called Emily. This is the only song that will also be on the full band record. Although a very, very different version of it. This is kind of how I originally wrote this song. And you'll just have to wait until the fall to hear what the band did with it. Or, you know, if you've seen us live, you've seen us do that version of it. But, yeah, it's called Emily.
Emily, why'd you have to rain on his parade? Gasoline and matches ain't a look for you. Emily, don't you have a single ounce of shame? If you just need a laugh, I've got a book for you. He would have held you for 10,000 years. He would have carried you 10,000 more. Came in like a genie and left like a thief. Emily, you would not believe. Emily, did you even mean the things you said? Or was it just a game and you didn't state the rules? Emily, can't you hear the voice inside your head telling you his heart is not a toy for fools? He would have held you for 10,000 years, and he would have carried you 10,000 more. Came in with the promise you never could keep. Emily, you would not believe. Emily, don't you think it's time for you to leave? He came here in his t-shirt just to stir the pot. But Emily, we're just trying to pick up every piece. You've been doing Molly in the parking lot. He would have held you for 10,000 years. He would have carried you 10,000 more. Came in like a genie and left like a clown. Emily, you've broken him down. Emily, why'd you have to rain on his parade?
Man, Is that good?
Thank you.
That is like a paintbrush, that one. I can see Emily. I don't know what she looks like, but I can see her. I want to hug her. It sounds like she's had a pretty rough time. Ryan Racine from a forthcoming record, depending on when you listen to this anyway, called Valhalla Afternoon, due out May 1st on all your digital platforms. And I don't know if that's a real story or not, but wow. Just well written.
I could tell you the story.
Into the microphone would be helpful.
But if you want to know honestly where this song came from, we were rewatching with our, at the time, 16-year-old daughter. She's 17 now, but we decided to show her the old TV show Beverly Hills 90210, which I never watched when it was first on.
No.
I remember like bits of it, but we decided to rewatch it, and I kind of took a couple of the characters there and was just sitting down. This is one of those songs like I will sit down and just, all right, I need a prompt to get me writing and do some exercise, you know. So kind of, you know, and there's a few references to actually what happened in the show, but mostly it's just this kind of relationship in my head based on that kind of came about, and it was like, you know what, this song's actually kind of cool though, so I don't care if it's about 90210. I'm gonna actually finish it and put it out.
It's a really well written song. It's really one of the standouts for me on the record, just because it does that great job of painting the story. And then the other one on there that's similar of story, but an actual person that I didn't know, had to look him up, was Boston Corbet. Like,
yes.
Why write a song about that guy? Tell me about that.
It was, I think I was sitting at work one day and I came across, I can't remember what the piece was in, but I came across an article about him. And, you know, even though I like history, I had never really thought about, like, all right, what happened after John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln? Like, what happened to John Wilkes Booth? It was never really thought about it.
We don't discuss it in school.
Yeah, and I read the story about this guy, and it was just insane. It was just crazy. This is the guy that ended up killing John Wilkes Booth, and just a weird dude. And I think I wrote the lyrics out in, 10 or 15 minutes. Like, basically just took what was in the article and was like, all right, here's this guy's life story. How do I fit that into, a certain number of verses, and like try and retell his story in a musical way. And yeah, it's it's pretty crazy. But
does he have descendants that might hear this? I mean, I'm just curious.
I
don't know his name.
I know it wasn't his real name. I know he changed his name to Boston.
Okay. When
he was living in Boston. But from what I know, he didn't have children.
Okay.
Because I know in the first verse of the song, his wife and his wife dies in childbirth along with his daughter. So he never has any other children. But I don't know if there was other members of the family that.
I'm sure they'd be shocked to know that there's a song.
Yeah. Although, I suppose he's a fairly infamous dude that you would.
It's the first song I know about him. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, well done.
Well, I was surprised and nobody had ever written a song about this. This guy's like, this is such good, like, story song material.
Yeah, the fodder is there. So
yeah,
you ran with it. Well, that's cool. How often are you actually writing songs? I know you got the 2 records coming out this year, which seems like that makes you pretty prolific for a period. But
I'm one of those writers that, like, I don't sit and write every day. I think I write a lot in my head constantly all the time, but it's more like it's preparation. Like, and then I go through, these spurts where all of a sudden now I write, I'll sit and spit out, 5 or 6 tunes, and it might be another couple months before I'm doing anything again. But it's, there's always something kind of percolating, and, I've got notebooks full of ideas that are started that I go back to, and voice memos like crazy, and so I'm sort of, I don't know if I write in the same way that other people do, but if I can get 5 or 6 finished tunes a year done, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Based on the time that I have, but sometimes it's more, and but I'm also one of those writers where if it's not great, then it doesn't really, if I'm not super happy with it, it doesn't like ever really leave the house, so I know some people can go into the studio with 20 songs and then decide what makes the record. I'm doing it the other way around. Like, I'm editing before we even decide what's going to be on the record. So as long as I can get 10 to 12 songs that I know I'm happy with, then I'm ready to make a record.
And how many are done for the next record?
The next record, so there's 8 on Valhalla Afternoon, and then there's 10 songs recorded for the next record.
Okay. Already done, huh?
Yeah, and we'll see if anything else kind of gets thrown in there last minute, but I figure if you hit 10 tunes, you got a record. So
I don't know your back catalog as well as this record and the previous one.
Yeah.
And I know there's a cover on this one. Have you done a cover before? And why did you choose to do
I
this
haven't.
cover?
The last record, no. Some of the previous bands we did. I think Gas for Less, we did, instead of doing a full record, we did two EPs that was volumes of the same thing, and we did do a Merle Haggard cover on that. And I do the new record, the new band record will have a cover of a song written by a friend of mine out in Boston that he has released, but still probably a lot of people don't know it, or not as many people should know it. And then on this one, I did a cover of my friend David Rossiter of Houdang, Ann Arbor guy. It's just a song of his that I've always loved. That's a good story song, and I've played it at solo shows before, and so I was like, I'm gonna, got the microphone set up. I'm gonna.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on Valhalla Afternoon. It's coming out May 1st, as I mentioned, digitally, and again, honored that I was able to hear it before even your wife and most people in your life. So
Yeah.
Honored. One more song?
Yeah. If I can have a moment to change my tuning, we can.
Okay,
want
wanna
to do that.
Do a quick talk about
Boston Corbet tune. How
Sure.
about that?
Yeah, that sounds great. Again, Grove Studios is where we record the podcast. It's been happening since the fall of 2020. And if you are a podcaster, DJ, or a musician looking for a place to do your thing, there are rooms here, 5 of them, available 24/7 through a keypad operation. If you don't know where Ypsilanti, Michigan is, it's between Ann Arbor and Detroit. This office is not too many miles from I-94, so even if you're coming from a bit of ways and looking for a place just like this, you can find one right here in Ypsi, not far from the campus of Eastern Michigan University, come to think of it, which is where I spend my day job. And we are visiting with Ryan Racine, whose website is ryanracine.com. You don't have to add music to yours. Check there for the upcoming dates, including the one at the Northville Winery in September, and then the one eventually we'll get up there for the release show for this album.
Yes. I will get to that this afternoon.
Okay, well, that'll be up there by the time people hear this then.
All right, we talked about this guy, so let's do the song.
My name is Boston Corbett. If you don't know who I am, I'm the man who shot the man who shot poor Abraham. Trade I was a hatter, no big mark upon the earth, till I lost my wife and daughter to a complicated birth. I turned heavy to the whiskey just to scramble up my head and lose the innocent of my sweet woman bleeding in the bed. Well, I stumble around New England drinking myself a 6-foot hole till a Boston corner preacher baptized my weary soul. Well, I spread the holy gospel, saving other men from hell, and when a whore's glance made me twitch, I made a eunuch of myself. My name is Boston Corbet, a man of great renown. I'm a man who shot poor Lincoln down. Well, we boarded up a steamer, leaving April 24, headed for Virginia, bleeding vengeance from our pores. Across the Rappahannock River, we were led to Garrett's farm by a sharp command. The crew ensured the readiness of arms. We found him in a barn, and we aimed to burn him out. I took my shot between the slats and brought that bastard down. Laid wanted him alive, got above had different plans, 'cause I heard him whisper in my ear, I had to kill that man. My name is Boston Corbet, I'm the one the Lord has sent to be the man to kill a man that killed the president. My celebrity was fleeting as I made my hero's stand. I was hated by the South and hated by the government. So I sent my mind to Kansas and I dug myself a hole. But my nemesis pursued me everywhere I'd go. With that shiny silver poison running through my blood in waves, I just knew that bastard Booth was out to put me in my grave. They tried to lock me up for being poorly in the mind, but they left a horse tied up outside unsupervised. My name is Boston Corbet, you unlikely give a damn. I'm the man who shot old Abraham.
That's good stuff. Ryan Racine, Boston Corbett, from the forthcoming album Valhalla Afternoon. And you can find more information about that, as we mentioned, at ryanracine.com. Ryan, I really appreciate that you spent some time with me.
I appreciate you having me.
You deserve more than you have been given. I mean, your 30 years of experience playing in bands, and the fact that you're not playing bigger rooms makes no sense to me as I hear your music, and it has the appeal that music that sounds like this that gets more attention than yours. I don't get
Well,
it.
I appreciate it. It's, it's tough for independent artists, and and not to say that I couldn't work harder too, but I appreciate you giving a voice to myself and other people like me that helps us get the word out there.
It's my pleasure. If this is the first one you've listened to or watched, there are 102 other ones. Ryan doesn't choke. We're going to have more. In fact, John Gorka is on his way in for the next one. So if you see me and you're watching the video, I'm wearing the same shirt. It's the same day. That's why I'm wearing the same shirt. And there are plenty of others to explore, including some local friends like Jason Denny and Rochelle Clark, who were here earlier in the year. National artists like Glenn Phillips, Toad the Wet Sprocket. We had Stephen Page from Bare Naked Ladies here. It's been a variety of folks have come to visit me here. So again, if this is your first one, please check it out. I don't make any money doing this. It's not necessarily the goal, but if you want to support me, I do have a Patreon page, and there I let people hear some of the old interviews that are not available to hear anywhere else. So perhaps the conversations that I had with you might be up there. You'd have to find out. JohnBommarito.com to find information about it. GroveStudios.space to find out about them. And again, thank you, sir. Great to see you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.